Starting early next year, Ford owners will be granted access to thousands of Tesla superchargers across the United States and Canada. It's part of a new partnership announced on Twitter Spaces by Tesla CEO Elon Musk and Ford CEO Jim Farley.
Well, it's a bit surprising, but it's also very, very practical by the Ford team. I mean, they have these products in the marketplace. They have these products coming. And listen, the bottom line is they needed widespread access to superchargers. And with Tesla having the most superchargers out there, actually a 2-to-1 ratio over the other standard, it made it pretty simple for Ford to say, you know what, I'm not going to spend the time building the own network. Let's take advantage of the Tesla One. It has good reliability, good locations, and it takes one of the inhibitors or impediments away from customers as they think about EVs.
In this video, the aftershocks continue after Ford and Tesla announced their supercharging partnership. The finance media tries to process this news and what it means, some more effectively than others. Some investors weigh in, and of course I have some thoughts. In fact, I always have a lot of thoughts on many topics, so if you'd like to see some of those, check out the links in the pinned comment. For subscriber-only Twitter content, head over to Twitter and subscribe, and you can also access a ton of exclusive video content and plenty more over on Patreon.
Ford and Tesla are hitting the gas on their partnership, or maybe hitting the accelerator might be more accurate, announcing yesterday that Ford EV owners will have access to Tesla's 12,000 superchargers in the U.S. and Canada beginning early next year. Diane, this reminds me sort of like of Apple and Android devices, and what if you actually had adapters that the companies themselves sold?
Exactly.
So this is really fascinating. Ford will have adapters to use the Teslas, and eventually
12,000 of them.
The cars will be made with that adapter in the car. So I guess there would be two different ports, perhaps, in those Ford vehicles.
Exactly.
Guess again, Julie. There won't be two charging ports in the next generation Ford electric vehicles. There's going to be one. Now, it's fairly clear that Julie is a little bit out of her depth here, as is the case every time she talks about Tesla, in fact. But just to be really clear, Ford are not dumb enough to have two separate charging ports on the next generation electric vehicles when they only need one, the standard Tesla has developed. I'm sure she's trying her best, but I had to jump in there to make sure that it's clear. Ford have recognized Tesla's built out an incredible charging network, have great technology. We'll just use their tech, their charging standard on our vehicles.
We teased this earlier, saying from rivals to partners, so it was kind of unexpected because when they announced they were doing this Twitter Spaces, another Spaces chat, that it was going to be.
Okay.
Yes, exactly. It wasn't, they didn't suffer the glitches as the DeSantis announcement did. But it was, I just expected it kind of just be a conversation, not necessarily an announcement of a partnership here. So kind of coming together, bringing the old in terms of the historic footprint that Ford has. Musk commented on and praised really Ford's Farley, its CEO, about how they were able to stave off bankruptcy, back in the day. And so you can see him trying to bring them together, and you can see both their share prices gaining ground as a result of that partnership. So we'll certainly be watching that, And Ford also first to the race in terms of the pickup side of EV.
Right. So just one more point to make on all of this. There has been some reporting that some Tesla drivers are a little bit annoyed at this. They're concerned already because they say there are delays at times at the charging station. So now if there are going to be Ford vehicles also that will be lining up, that could create a little more congestion. Of course, Tesla, as well as the federal government for that matter, is talking about building out these charging networks in a very decided fashion. So maybe that will alleviate some of that, but that's not going to happen overnight.
I know.
So to Julie's point, yes, Tesla will continue to build out their charging infrastructure, and no, it won't happen overnight. But you know what else won't happen overnight? Ford actually selling meaningful numbers of electric vehicles to customers who can use Tesla's charging network. Not sure either of the folks on the Yahoo Finance panel here have actually looked at Ford's electric vehicle sales numbers. They're embarrassing now. Ford are trying, but they're not selling many vehicles at this point in time. The impact of Ford vehicles starting next year being able to utilize some of Tesla's superchargers in the US is barely going to make a difference. In coming years, as more electric vehicles produced by Ford are able to use Tesla's charging network, this will become more of an issue. But spoiler alert, at the same time that there's more Ford electric vehicles on roads and more Tesla vehicles on roads, there's also going to be more Tesla superchargers. It's almost as if Tesla is scaling their charging infrastructure as necessary, as opposed to too soon or too late.
Starting early next year, Ford owners will be granted access to thousands of Tesla superchargers across the United States and Canada. It's part of a new partnership announced on Twitter Spaces by Tesla CEO Elon Musk and Ford CEO Jim Farley. Farley joins us right now, first on Squawk Box this morning, to talk more about it. And Jim, welcome. This is some pretty big and pretty surprising news.
Yeah, it was a big week for us, Becky and Andrew. And this announcement, we think, will really help our EV customers have a much better experience.
You know, it was surprising just from the perspective that you all are rivals. I don't know if you want to call respectful rivals, frenemies, something along those lines. How did this deal come about? What happened?
Well, Becky, I actually happen to have a brain, and because I have a brain, I've realized that Ford should try not to go bankrupt, and one of the things we can do to not go bankrupt is not waste money on things that Tesla's already done and done better. Although this did surprise some people, it didn't surprise the obnoxious twats on the internet with 3 first names who've been predicting this for years. By the way, we're not yet ready to announce it, but at some point in the future, we'll also be licensing Tesla's autonomous software, currently known as FSD, because we're not going to catch up to Tesla. So, much like the supercharging network, we're going to tap into that as well. We're going to instead do our best to rely on brand loyalty and make Ford products but utilize as much of Tesla's technology, infrastructure and software as possible because, like I said, I have a brain and I don't actually want our company to go bankrupt, unlike some of our rivals. I won't mention names, but I can confirm that they led and they matter. Wait, that was really rude of me. Sorry. Let's listen to what Jim's actually got to say.
We've been actually working on it for a couple of years. You know, we know that charging, we're number 2 in EV sales in the US behind Tesla. And we know charging is a really big deal for our customers and adoption. And we're now scaling, we're like basically doubling our EV capacity this year. And we're going to get to 2 million in a couple of years. So this is a big deal for the company and for our customers. And we have about 10,000 fast chargers now. This is going to double that. So 22,000 fast chargers. It'll be the best network of fast charging in the country for any brand, and that's why we were interested in it. We also like their locations. We like their charging technology. It works really well as well. So in 25, we're going to put their plug on our vehicle.
Yeah, Jim, I have to say, as a consumer, I think it's great. I love the idea of some sort of standardization or moving towards standardization in the industry. No consumer wants to get stuck feeling like, oh, I finally found a charging station, but guess what? I can't use it. And you probably need a lot more of this to really beef up adoption of EVs across the country. What I think is interesting about this is, you know, this is, if you went back to the VHS Betamax comparison on all of these things, VHS eventually won out. You are choosing to go with Tesla, which has been riding with the NACS standard, versus the CCS standard that the Biden administration and most of the U.S. automakers, EV makers, have been pushing. Why Tesla? Why this standard? And do you think by you and Tesla teaming up together, you kind of win over and can change what's going to be the standard?
It's a great question. So we believe that customers should have, as you said, the option of using either standard, and with adapters and software, we could do that both. But we really like the Tesla standard from a customer standpoint. When you look at how easy it is to plug in, if you drop the cord, the Tesla system is more robust. The other standard is great, and we'll have adapters for that. But we also really love the locations. Like, I remember I was going on vacation with my kids. My kids kept saying, hey, Dad, can we stop there? That's one of those Tesla supercharging. I was like, no, kids, we're going to go over here behind this building. And, you know, so it's a bet for our customers, and we want our customers to be able to use both systems actually with adapters.
Poor Jim Farley is doing his best here, but let's be honest, if you read between the lines, it's pretty clear. The fact that Ford in 2025 will be using Tesla only using Tesla's charging technology, Tesla charging ports on their vehicles, says it all. The Electrify My Asshole network that Jim's referring to with the existing ability to charge it, they suck fucking ass. If you guys are curious, just search online for Electrify America. Look at people's experience when they pull into these things. If they can actually find a charger that works, slow charging speeds, disconnects, won't accept your credit card, total around. It's terrible. Jim knows this. Despite the fact that he's trying to be politically correct, and I do mean politically correct, probably doesn't want to offend the Biden administration too much here, but if Ford themselves are going to only allow users by default to charge at Tesla superchargers in the future, starting in 2025, and the only way for Ford customers then to use the Electrify My Asshole network is by buying an adapter, that says it all. By the way, I've got to give more credit to Jim for his honesty. The fact that on CNBC, he's admitting He's on the road trip with his kids. They're pointing out the Tesla superchargers in great locations. Hey, Dad, why can't we charge there? And he literally refers, oh, no, we've got to go behind the back of this building, a.k.a. the locations of these electrify my arsehole charging networks suck shit. The fact that he said this on CNBC, where Ford spent a lot of money advertising, this is quite an admission. And that's the reason I'm focusing on the aftershock and the reactions to this announcement in the mainstream media, who've been towing the line for legacy automotive manufacturers, constantly shitting on Tesla. What do they do now?
Jim, long term, when you think about this friends, enemy, frenemy situation, if Tesla becomes that standard, is that good or bad for you? I mean, as you try to evaluate and think through what that means over time.
Yeah, we think it's good for us because we're going to have the Ford Pass software. So people don't have to leave the Ford Pass software that they use for charging at their home or to control, unlock the vehicle or use their phone as a key. When they go use the Tesla supercharger, they're still using Ford. We were very concerned if they had to switch over to use that Tesla software, but that was part of the deal. And it was a deal breaker for us for the reason you mentioned.
And how seamless, therefore, will payment and the like be using those superchargers?
Yeah, so early next year on the Ford Pass app, we're going to have a bunch of different payment options like we do today. So customers just use their, e-pay system, whatever they choose. And there'll be no issues. It'll be super simple. We're going to ship an adapter to everyone who's bought a Ford EV. This is not just for the future. It's for all the people who already bought our vehicles. So they'll get an adapter from Ford. They go on Ford Pass. They pick the payment option they want. All the billing is the same as it is today. So it's going to be super easy.
And what do you think long-term the likelihood is that GM and others will follow suit?
Spoiler alert. Until the UAW's egg plan is removed from deep in the throat of both Mary B. Esparra and the extremely not corrupt President of the United States, Joe Biden, who's definitely not suffering from cognitive decline, there's no chance that GM will announce a partnership, even though they should, and they're likely to go bankrupt, and this would be one thing that might slow that inevitable demise. Mary B. Esparra is a politician, not an automotive CEO, and it's not politically correct to do anything at all to do with Tesla because the Biden administration said so. Therefore, good fucking luck with that. Now, it could happen. This announcement could happen, but I find it far more likely the current captain of the Titanic would rather see their ship at the bottom of the ocean than mention the word Tesla, let alone partner with them. As I said in yesterday's video, any automotive manufacturer with half a fucking brain cell between them will follow suit ASAP. But the unfortunate thing is, many of these legacy automotive manufacturers are stocked with executives that between them don't even have a single fucking brain cell. As I also mentioned yesterday, if you were to write down in order the list of automotive manufacturers who partner with Tesla for access to Tesla's supercharging network, one by one, and actually then adopt Tesla's charging ports on their own future vehicles, then reverse that list, the top of that list is going to be the first bankruptcy, number 2 will be the second, and so on. This will be almost perfect proxy for the order in which these companies go out of business. To be clear, any automotive manufacturer with any sense whatsoever after this announcement, in fact, they've probably already been doing it if they've got any sense, but at this point in time, if they didn't call Elon, Tesla and go, bro, how do we organize this thing like Ford? How do we get your charging stuff in our vehicles for future generations of products? Let us know what we need to do and we'll do it. If this wasn't something that happened at every legacy automotive manufacturer and EV startup overnight, they are absolutely toast. I'll be curious to see what Jim has to say on this, but keep in mind that Jim is trying to be fairly politically correct and I'm not.
And that effectively the Tesla superchargers will become the standard.
I think there's a chance. The CCS is a great standard, but it was pretty much done by kind of a committee, and I think GM and others are going to have a big choice to make. Do they want to have fast charging for a lot of customers, or do they want to stick to their standard and have less charging? So I don't know, but I think, we're number 2 last year. They were number 1. I think that's going to be a tough choice for those companies.
It is indeed a tough choice to make. Go bankrupt and continue to toe the line for the UAW, continue to collude with the President of the United States and the Biden administration, or try not to go bankrupt. Tough choice to make.
Joining us to discuss what it means for both companies, Gerber Kawasaki CEO Ross Gerber, a Tesla shareholder, and former Ford CEO, CNBC contributor Mark Fields. Gentlemen, good morning to both of you. Mark, how surprised were you about this collaboration?
Well, it's a bit surprising, but it's also very, very practical by the Ford team. I mean, they have these products in the marketplace. They have these products coming. And listen, the bottom line is they needed widespread access to superchargers. And with Tesla having the most superchargers out there, actually a 2-to-1 ratio over the other standard, it made it pretty simple for Ford to say, you know what, I'm not going to spend the time building the own network. Let's take advantage of the Tesla one. It has good reliability, good locations, and it takes one of the inhibitors or impediments away from customers as they think about EVs.
Exactly. And given the fact that Ford have recognized this and actually taken action, I do, again, want to put this on the record. Ford will announce that they will be licensing Tesla's FSD software at a future point. It won't just be Ford, but they may be one of the first, given the fact they're one of the first to officially decide to put Tesla charging plugs in their future electric vehicles. But remember, this has been obvious for years. Refer to my Tesla valuation model, available exclusively on Patreon to supporters at the investor level and above. Check the link in the pinned comment, which has both third-party supercharging access as a revenue stream for Tesla and Tesla licensing their FSD software to many other automakers globally in the future. Just give me a moment. I just need to check. Yeah, still batting 1,000 on my major long-range predictions. It's not arrogant if it's true, right?
Ross, as a Tesla shareholder, do you like it?
I love it. I think it's just a wonderful move by Tesla because you have to look at the business as different sections. And Tesla charging is one of the most important and valuable parts of Tesla today because the network works so well compared to the competitors. So Ford is making a super smart move by plugging into the network. And for Tesla, they're going to get all this fee revenue from Ford users now joining the Tesla supercharging network, which I think will end up being very profitable for Tesla.
I was going to say, Mark, what was in it for Elon? Is it about the fees, or is there something more to it? Because I can easily imagine a scenario in which they decided to have a walled garden and basically step on the throat of some of these legacy OEMs.
Before Mark answers, as I've said in the past, if you're ever unsure as to why Tesla's done something, just refer to their mission statement. Unlike typical corporations, in which their mission statement is a gigantic fucking virtue signaling clusterfuck of wankery that means nothing, Tesla's mission is quite clearly stated. It is their North Star, and every decision they ever make can clearly be understood through that lens. Their mission is to accelerate the world's transition to sustainable energy. Opening up access to their supercharging network will allow some companies that likely would have gone bankrupt to maybe survive and produce electric vehicles, therefore accelerating the world's transition to sustainable energy. In terms of the financials, Tesla aren't brain dead. Obviously, they're going to make enough money for this to be worth their while. But this really is an act of philanthropy. Tesla could have had a walled garden, and companies like Ford and GM would all be even more fucked. But Tesla's mission isn't to bankrupt a bunch of dumbass companies. This will happen as a side effect, but that's not their intent. Tesla's actually trying to help. This is also why in 2014, about a decade ago, they open sourced their patents. Please, use it. Here's all our stuff. Use it in good faith. We won't sue you. Please, just make electric vehicles. Thank you. This isn't going to be an absurdly profitable venture for Tesla. They will make money. Like I said, they're not idiots. But this really is mission aligned, not something driven by the bottom line. But again, they will make money on this, just not an obscene amount. They're trying to help Ford survive, which is in line with their mission.
Well, listen, I think there's a number of advantages for Tesla. First off, it just reinforces that they're the leader in this space. When you have, a traditional automaker like Ford saying, I'm going to use their standard. And in their products coming in 2025, Ford's actually going to adopt their North American charging standard, which is a big deal. But secondly, they qualify now for the IRA funding from the government to help further build out their charging infrastructure. So again, they're getting federal assistance, if you will, to aid their business. And, I think one of the most ironic things is, prior to this, the traditional automakers were buying EV tax credits from Tesla. Well, now that's waning. Guess what? Now they're going to start to be able to gain some new revenues and profitability from providing, the charging stations. So I think there's a lot of advantages there. The only disadvantages is, listen, if you're in a Cybertruck and you're in a line behind a Ford F-150 or a Mach-E, that's going to be a bit of a problem.
This is true, although again, Tesla continues to build out their charging network. It's not like they've decided to stop making superchargers and therefore more electric vehicles means less available charging, means more wait times. However, and this is important, Ford is only getting access to about half of Tesla's supercharger locations in the United States. Not the entire network, only about 50%. Tesla has the data, they know which chargers are the most busy, they know the prime locations, They've obviously made a decision here. They could have given Ford access to the entire charging network, but they didn't. From Ford's perspective, it's way better than nothing, but Tesla still has an advantage with their own charging network for their own customers who can charge anywhere, not just some locations.
Ross, there had been some, I would argue, in the industry who were bringing their adoption curve, their long-term adoption curve down a little bit, maybe because less urgency, sticker shock, gas prices are cheap. But I wonder if we really do get this interoperability, if those curves need to be raised again.
Well, I think one of the things is that when they started the charging thing, they wanted to have one standard across the entire world. And a lot of people balked at Tesla's standard and didn't adopt it. So this is a reversal of something from many years ago that was ultimately probably a mistake for these companies. So Ford adopting it is really good. But what really is going to happen is the new model for Tesla charging are these massive charging areas like they put in Santa Monica with 150 stalls. So the worry about like Cybertrucks being behind Fords and all that, I think is legitimate, maybe short term, but longer term, there's going to be tons of charging stations. And so this is a win-win for the climate. It's for EVs, for Ford, for Tesla. And it will help mass adoption of EVs on a much greater scale. So, I'm very, very excited about this because ultimately our goal is to see EVs become a dominant, vehicle in the global, driving world, and so this is going to help a lot.
Ross can make some pretty reasonable points when he's not shrieking about Elon Musk having and sharing opinions, exemplifying TDS, or freaking out about Florida's extremely competent governor. Love you, Ross. So obviously, this Tesla-Ford partnership has many tongues wagging. It was inevitable. More announcements will come soon. And the sooner they happen, the less likely those companies are to go bankrupt. It's not a perfect indicator, but it's a pretty good leading indicator. If they're making the right moves, such as gaining access to Tesla's supercharging network and also adopting Tesla's charging standard, that's definitely a better sign than not. And remember, this just paves the way for Ford announcing in the future that they'll be licensing Tesla's autonomous software. Many other companies will also follow suit if they haven't gone bankrupt before then. And this is finally, hopefully, the moment that all the dolts who somehow still think that legacy automotive companies are coming for Tesla, the competition's coming, Tesla's in big trouble and so on, can finally take a step back and think, hang on a minute, why would Ford, who I thought were going to destroy Tesla and catch up to Tesla and exceed Tesla, be giving up on their own charging network, admitting that Tesla has a huge lead here, it's incredible technology, a great customer experience, they've done it better than we could and therefore we're not even going to try. I'm just kidding. These people are far beyond the ability to self-reflect and actually see reality for what it is. Athletic Greens AG1 has given me a massive, meaningful boost in energy, allowing me to do a lot more every day, including using my brain more and using my body more. I highly recommend you guys and girls check it out. Athletic Greens AG1 is an excellent way to fill in nutritional gaps. It's got 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, and whole food source nutrients, plus prebiotics and probiotics and digestive enzymes and adaptogens to help you deal with stress. Plus, if you click the link in the pinned comment or head to athleticgreens.com/SMR, you can get yourself a 1-year free supply of vitamin D3 and K2. But don't take my word for it. Here's what some of you guys and girls have to say. AG1 has changed my life. I was, as you described, treating myself like a circus, ate like trash, rarely exercised, used alcohol as a stress crutch, cannabis also. AG1 is what gave me the kick in the ass, got me back to the gym, motivated me to do more for myself, family, my business, etc. Keep doing what you do. Now, I know there's some skeptics, the same kind of people who think Elon Musk is a fraud, reading this going, what do you thought? There's no way that's possible, bro. It must be a placebo effect. Believe it or not, this is a recurring theme. If you give your body everything it needs to feel and perform its best, including having a lot more energy, you'll need ways to use that energy. For me personally, that includes more exercise, moving my body more social activity, and more cognitively demanding tasks, including producing a ton of exclusive content over on Twitter and on Patreon, plus my daily YouTube uploads. The proof's in the pudding. On to another testimonial from a viewer of this channel. SMR, you asked me to provide feedback on AG1. Here it is. It has helped with mental acuity, stamina, and intestinal waste management. Can't read between the lines. It certainly helps with regularity and digestion. That's what the digestive enzymes are for. It has also dramatically reduced my cravings for sugar. You guys need to stop eating sugar. It's fucking poison. I'm 50, 5'9", and overweight, aka a fat motherfucker. I think that's a technical term for overweight, isn't it? Is it fat motherfucker or obese? I can't remember. I average 100 hours a week in the West Texas oil fields as a safety supervisor. Jesus Christ, dude. No wonder you're struggling to keep your weight under control. 100 hours a week. Brutal. It has helped me lose weight. It is not an appetite suppressant. It can help fat people suppress cravings, and motivation to be healthier is critical for changing your diet. Love you, brother. Again, this is a great point. It's something people really don't seem to grasp. If you have more energy, everything becomes easier. It's like turning on easy mode for life. A few years ago, before I was taking AG1, my health was trash. I was struggling to get through the day, had afternoon fatigue. The last thing I wanted to do was either use my brain or move my body. Didn't have the energy. Now, my biggest struggle every day is figuring out ways to use that energy. I'm exercising way more, doing a lot more with my friends and family, and of course, my work output has increased substantially. And you can fact check me. Check out the average length of my videos I was posting to YouTube 3 years ago. Need I say more? And one final testimonial. Love this one. Okay, here's the deal for me with this AG1 shit. I'm 41 years old and not the type to eat, drink, smoke, or sleep healthy, so I was skeptical. That being said, here's what I experienced. Day 1, meh. Day 2, afternoon fatigue was about 45 minutes late. Day 3, 0 afternoon fatigue. Day 4, 0 afternoon fatigue plus extra energy. Day 5, again, 0 afternoon fatigue plus energy, wondering, what the fuck, really? See, this is the thing, right? The results for many people are just almost too good to be true. This is the same experience I had. My afternoon fatigue just vanished out of nowhere. I'm like, wait, what the fuck? Why am I not tired in the afternoons anymore? Surely, it's not that AG1 is it? Turns out it was. Day 6 and 7, same thing. Day 8, same thing. Plus, I had the want to get things done around the house that I normally would slack off and not get done. Again, the point, extra energy, you'll need to use it. You'll find ways to use it. Day 9, 10, and 11, and today is day 12. I fucking love it. So however you managed to get me to buy it, I'm so glad you did. Thank you so much, SMR. It really changed me so far. Guys, this shit really works. Just try it. By the way, this is the reason I continue to relentlessly promote AG1. A lot of people get real fucking mad in the comments. Oh my God, Snake Oil Salmon's sold out. Oh my God, he's a scammer. This is fraud. But constantly, I'm pretty sure everyone making these comments is also currently short Tesla stock. I'm not particularly concerned about people having a negative perception, those folks suffering from small brain syndrome, still living in my bum's basement syndrome, etc., writing mean comments, claiming AG1's a scam or it doesn't work. I mean, bro, when I get feedback like this is what keeps me going. And remember, there is a 90-day money-back guarantee. There's nothing to lose here. Just try this stuff for a month, and if you don't get these results, get your money back. See, it's a literal no-brainer. It's an IQ test at this point in time. Testimonial after testimonial after testimonial like this. Get your money back if it doesn't work. Just try it for a month, and if it doesn't work, get your money back. Today's the day. It's finally time. Be like this guy who was a massive skeptic, but finally, after 1,000 promotions in a row, caved in, tried AG1, and has results like this. Head to athleticgreens.com/SMR or click the link at the pinned comment, and please, let me know how you're feeling in a few weeks' time. Now, if you'll excuse me, time to put my extra energy to good use. I'll be recording some more exclusive content for Patreon and my Twitter subscribers. So click the links in the pinned comment. See you over on Twitter and or Patreon. And don't forget to grab your AG1. Love ya.